Hi everyone,
Welcome.
to your first Concepts from the Couch session. Today we're exploring conflict, which is not a bad thing, is it, Tina?
Conflict is the best
It's your
thing.
friend in your story. And if you don't have conflict, you're writing a textbook, which
Right.
is boring.
Boring. You ever try to read a textbook cover to cover? Why do you only read 3 pages and then stop? Because there's no conflict. There's nothing.
They're just trying to give you the facts. They're not trying to tell you any of the juicy bits. It's like they purposely avoid all of the interesting parts of whatever they're saying.
Yeah, because all they're actually trying to do, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be really careful here, but I've talked to a lot of you. You've done a core story session with me on the phone. We have to be so mindful, as those of us who know stuff, like we know stuff. That's why we're writing a book. Authors have to be so careful that they're not ramming some information down somebody's throat. And the interesting thing is we think we're coming at it through our love, which we're going to get to later in our training video, like what we're here to offer. But if we don't like talk about the juicy stuff or go into any kind of conflict, we end up coming off a little bit.
It's also our motivation, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be, there's something in us. There are edges in ourselves that are rubbing up against one another saying, this is why you must tell this story. Because maybe it's not perfectly clear for you, and that's okay, and that's good. Mm-hmm. So Tina and I were in her awesome office the other day looking at all of the random books, and we're like, where's that conflict? Why'd that guy write that book? Why blah, 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 blah. Conflict, where is it? So we found them all.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. So you should try this exercise. So we picked up Andre Agassi's book Open, which is his biography. I don't know if you know who he is, but he was a huge tennis star. And apparently he hates tennis.
Hates tennis.
So that's his conflict. And hating tennis, but being so damn good at it, caused him an enormous amount of pain in his life. And so by sharing his story, I guess, he's probably hoping there's a bit of catharsis in that for him.
Yeah.
But also that he can help other people through their own pain.
Mm-hmm. But if he wrote the book to help people through their own pain and didn't touch into the conflict, he'd come across kind of self-absorbed, right? Because he's only talking about the good stuff. But you got to take us on a journey. So one of the words I think that you used when we were looking at everything was, we looked at every book and went, what's that person's pain? What's at risk for that person?
Yeah.
So his pain was that he hated tennis and he felt lonely and scared. And so he was writing into that.
And then there was another book that sounds super positive, and it is super positive. It's called 1,000 Awesome Things.
It's called The Book of Awesome.
The Book of Awesome, and it's just day after day, the guy wrote about things that were awesome in his life. And you know what? It's not because his life was awesome.
No.
His life stunk. His wife left him, and his best friend committed suicide.
Yeah.
He was bummed out.
Yeah. There's a great TED Talk. Just look it up. Go to TED, Book of Awesome. Neil, I would say his last name wrong.
Pastricha?
I'm not even going to try. Neil P. It's called Neil P. But again, it was the conflict he was in that drove him to actually write a blog, which then became so popular that it became a book. And then there's Margaret Atwood's book, The Handmaid's Tale, which is, if you haven't read that, dive into that. It's certainly a really timely conversation right now.
Yeah, and that whole TV series is out right now too. I don't know where to find that, but
I know.
Looks
it's on Hulu,
amazing.
I think. But the pain, right? Her pain was all about what if.
It was looking at women's lives and inequality and taking it to the darkest place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there's her conflict. And conflict leads us to curiosity. The writer has curiosity. The reader is tapped into conflict. And then we move into connection, but we'll get there later. So we're just talking about conflict. We want you to make sure that you don't shy away from conflict, but instead you dive headfirst into it and find the connection through that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? Let us know.
Conflict, curiosity, connection.
Connection.
More on that later.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.